Welcome in, everybody. Joshua alongside Justin Barbosa, live from Stalworth Stadium here tonight in Baytown, Texas, where one of the biggest rivalry games in the Houston area will take place. As Justin, they're going to be battling it out for this bad boy right here. And that's a big trophy to get to take home tonight. So not only do you get to take home the bragging rights between Baytown Lee and Baytown Sterling, you get to take home the big trophy in the Battle of Baytown. And this is a game that goes back a long way. I mean, you talk to people, they're either on one side or the other. It's either Baytown Lee or Baytown Sterling. Their grandparents went here. I mean, this is a true Texas high school football rivalry.
It is, and for the first time in 4 years last year, he finally got it back together after the last matchup was in 2016. Finally got the districts to line up, got to play again once again last year. Although Lee won it last year with a score of 48-20, but finally glad this rivalry is back. It was rocking here at Sterling last year.
Yeah, and tonight, senior responders here at Stalworth Stadium. We even have the mayor of Baytown, Brandon Capetillo. He'll join us here in a moment. And that's how big this game is. The mayor of Baytown is actually in our press box and getting ready to come live on the air. He'll be joining us in the next segment. And then let's tell you about the implications of this game tonight. The District 9 5A D1 standings are really interesting here as you look at it. Port Arthur Memorial has already locked up the top spot at 8-1, 6-0 in district. Friendswood right behind them. They've locked up district spots and playoff spots. Then it's the logjam after that. Beaumont United at 3-3, Galveston Ball at 3-3, Baytown Lee is in that mix as well, and then LaPorte and Sterling are still there. There is a way that Baytown Lee and Sterling can get in. Of course, they have to win the game tonight, and then they have to get some help as well. And you will look at those playoff scenarios for both teams. Baytown Lee win and in with a loss by Beaumont United or Galveston Ball, and then Baytown Sterling win and in with a loss by Beaumont United. So those are the playoff scenarios. And, of course, Port Arthur Memorial win, and they are the outright district champion. And they're taking on Friendswood tonight. But you look at those playoff scenarios, both teams, as you said, Baytown Lee started off hot to the season. Sterling's picked up some steam as well. Talk about both those teams as they come into this game tonight.
Yeah, Baytown Lee started the season 6-0, lost their last three, and could have had the season in the wraps if they won a couple of those games, but now, fine for a playoff spot with a win tonight. And Baytown Sterling also kind of started the season pretty well at 3-1 and ran into some trouble against Friendswood and LaPorte, and now got a scrapped out a couple of wins to get the 4-5. Have a chance, but also need a little bit of help. But it'd be cool to see both these teams get in, but need a lot of help if you're Sterling.
Yeah, let's look at that schedule tonight, the Week 11 schedule for District 9 5A D1. You see there, of course, Baytown Lee versus Baytown Sterling. That game here tonight. We'll also carry that game live on vype.com after this. Goose Creek Memorial is taking on Beaumont United. We mentioned that Baytown Sterling needs a Beaumont United loss and a win tonight to get in, and Baytown Lee would like that as well if they win. So everyone's fans of Goose Creek Memorial tonight. Then LaPorte is taking on Galveston Ball, and Friendswood is taking on Port Arthur Memorial for district supremacy. As we welcome you back here into the press box here at Stalworth Stadium. Again, Joshua Cook alongside with Justin Barbosa. And a fun rivalry game here tonight. A lot of implications. You get the trophy. You get the rivalry win. You also potentially maybe even get a playoff spot. So a lot. And you'll have the call of the game tonight. So you've got to be excited as well.
Pretty excited. It was a great atmosphere last year. Ready for it to go on again.
All right. We will step away for a moment. We will come back after this break. We will be joined by Mayor of Baytown, Brandon Capetillo, right after this on VYPE Houston Twitter as we roll on VYPE Countdown to Kickoff from Stalworth Stadium in Baytown, Texas. Become a VYPE Insider today. Access breaking news in high school sports. Enjoy premium articles and exclusive coverage written by expert analysts, and watch exclusive videos, documentaries on programs in your area. It's only $2.99 a month if you subscribe for the monthly plan. If you go for the yearly plan, it rounds out to just $1.99 a month. It costs you only $24 a year to get all of your VYPE news throughout the entire year. Subscribe today. What are you waiting for? It's less than a cup of coffee a month. Become a VYPE Insider. $2.99 a month, $23.99 for the whole year. Hey, it's VYPE. We will see you at the games. Welcome back to Countdown to Kickoff, Stalwart Stadium. Joshua Cook, now joined by the Mayor of Baytown, Brandon Capetillo. Mr. Mayor, thank you so much for joining us tonight here on this Countdown to Kickoff. Big night for the city of Baytown.
Certainly, it's a big night. You can see a lot of the fans already pouring into the stadium. Very exciting. It's always been a great rivalry here in Baytown. It's good to see it come back. I think this is the second year once they returned, once the districts were aligned. And so, very exciting. Everybody's talking about it. To go and see the Ganders and the Rangers back on the field again. And with the playoff implications that could take place tonight, it even makes it even more interesting. So a lot of buzz across town.
And for you, I mean, there's no doubt who you're cheering for tonight. Wearing the Baytown League or Baytown League grad, of course. Back in your high school, what do you remember about this rivalry this night as a student?
Well, as a student, the 4 years I was in high school, we won all our games. But there was great players on both sides. There was Kerry Henderson, there was Quinn Coriot. So we had a lot of great players. So the games were really, really close, very interesting. And so it was great to see all the excitement from the student section, but the parents, people who may have went to Lee High School, and then they have kids that go to Sterling now. So there's so much roots here in Baytown with Baytown Lee and Baytown Sterling. It's very, very exciting to see this.
And for you being the mayor of Baytown, this has to be special, being the mayor of your hometown. I mean, I know just recently reelected again this past week. Just how excited and how much does it mean to you to be the mayor of this great city?
Well, it's always been my privilege and honor to go and serve our citizens and to go and be a partner with Goose Creek and Goose Creek Athletics with everything that's happening the past few years. We know with Athletic Director Lee Martinez, he's been doing a great job. All the schools and all the sports have been continuing to go and improve and being very competitive across the district. So we're very excited to see that. The fans are very excited to see that. They're returning back here to Stalwart. And it's just a really good buzz around town today.
I mean, Friday Night Lights in Texas, there's nothing better. I mean, they literally made a movie and a Netflix show about this night. Like, what were your best memories from Friday Night Lights?
I think, we always called it, when this was taking place, it was Lee Sterling week, right? So you dress up, you paint your faces, you do all kinds of stuff. And in the early days, there was a lot of more shenanigans that took place, right? So there was, there was some ganders involved. There was all kinds of greasing of flagpoles. So a lot of shenanigans took place, all in good spirit, and now I think a lot of those days are behind us. But the rivalry coming back is great excitement. I know that there is the Battle for Baytown Cup. I also have the Mayor's Ball here that will go to the winning victor tonight. So I'm hoping to give that to whoever wins. I just want a good game, good athletics, everybody to be safe, and obviously the fans to enjoy a good competitive outcome.
Yeah, and tonight, and also a special night, senior night for Sterling High School, but also first responders night. And we know how much the first responders, especially nurses, firefighters, policemen, have meant in the last year. I mean, what does it mean to honor first responders on a night like this? No,
it's great. We did the same thing last year. And certainly with COVID, first responders is having a lot of challenges the past few years. To go and honor them like we should, we call them our everyday heroes because they're always servicing our citizens. If it's police, fire, EMS, being able to go and do that and then honor them this night in front of our fans here in Baytown is really, really awesome.
And as we mentioned, you were reelected earlier this week. What's your vision for this next term of your mayorship of Baytown, Texas?
Well, I like fixing things. So continue to fix our roads, continue to fix drainage, working alongside with Goose Creek, anything we can do with them and Lee College also. This is great partners. We grow as a community. We continue to be really a focus for the East Harris County, East Houston area. Baytown is a place to be, looking to have a live, work, play atmosphere. We'll be trying to go and revitalize our mall and Garth Road. We're going to be fixing that road. A lot of growth happening in Baytown, a lot of interest, a lot of growth happening this way, so we have to be well prepared. And so very excited for the next 3 years to go and try to lead that along with council.
Well, I know you're very excited about this game tonight. We'll let you get to it, the pregame ceremonies and stuff, and somebody's going to get that mayor's ball once it's all said and done. Will be Baytown Lee or Baytown Sterling. We'll have to wait and see, but I know Mayor Capetillo is cheering for those Baytown Lee gainers. Mr. Mayor, we appreciate your time and just appreciate everything you do for the city of Baytown, for Goose Creek CISD, and just students here as well.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right. After this, we'll take another break. We'll be joined by the Goose Creek CISD Athletic Director Lee Martinez here on Countdown to Kickoff as we get you ready for the Battle of Baytown between Lee and Sterling coming up here tonight at Stalwart Stadium. Welcome back, everybody. Joshua Cook, along with now the athletic director of Goose Creek CISD, Lee Martinez. Well, Lee, welcome to Baytown Lee Sterling night. This is got to be an exciting night for y'all.
Very, very excited for the game and very excited for the city.
Just talk about this night. I know, last year was kind of coming out of COVID and there were still restrictions and stuff, but this year, I mean, it looks like full go, senior night, first responders night. How much fun is it to put together something like this?
Oh, it's awesome. It's a lot of work, but it's definitely fun, and I'm looking forward to a great game. And I think we started working on this about a month and a half ago, and we're going to see the work done tonight.
What's it going to be like? I mean, for you, you put so much work into something like this, just to see the fruits of your labor, your staff's labor, to have a great night here at Stallworth Stadium.
I mean, it means a lot. We definitely want to. We have to be careful because, you got a lot of people that are on both sides. So you have some, you're doing too much for Lee, or you're doing too much for Sterling. So we got to work hard to keep it right in the middle for everybody and make sure everybody gets a good taste. And you see tonight, senior night, you see all the cheerleaders and then, all the crowd coming in. We got Chick-fil-A out there. We got a really big community gathering tonight.
And also, like I mentioned, with Mayor Capitino honoring first responders tonight, that's got to be special for Goose Creek CISD Athletics to get to do that. Take that time to honor first responders before the game.
Absolutely. First responders, to me, I mean, they're the true heroes. They battle every day. I mean, we don't really have to define what's going on in our world today, but they got a tough job. They battle it every day. They leave home not knowing if they're going to come back. And so for us to take some time to thank them, I think that's very minimal of what we can do for them. So I'm very proud to have them here tonight.
And another thing that VYPE does with Goose Creek CISD is, of course, our VYPE campus program. We produced this great magazine. This one is the fall edition that just came out a few months ago. Small Town Feel Big Time Stars was our headline. I mean, what's it like to see this and have this kind of thing for the fans and the students and get to, and we have a heck of a time getting to put it together. It's so much fun coming out and honoring so much students. And you even went as far to honor the middle school athletes as well in this edition.
We did. We thought that, in order to build programs, you got to start from the bottom. And so, how could we just have a magazine and not have these young, junior high students, student athletes coming out and playing and getting them in the magazine gives them a sense of pride and to be a Ranger, in a couple of years, to be a Gander in a couple of years, or a Patriot. It's good to see that, and the magazine itself. I mean, you got people asking for this magazine throughout the city, and it's amazing how it took off, and how the parents enjoy watching their athletes in these magazines.
Yeah, it's so much fun. We get to come out here for what we call VYPE Media Days, where we bring the hype to here, and we actually shot the cover outside Stallworth Stadium this year to honor the stadium. So final thoughts from you tonight. Just Friday Night Lights, I got the honor of getting to talk to Brian Johnson earlier this week, former Baytown League quarterback Clint Sterner, and they talk so highly of Friday Night Lights. I mean, for you, what does Friday Night Lights mean to you?
Friday Night Lights, man, I tell you what, it means a lot. Being a former player myself, I was able to play in Friday Night Lights for Milby High School, and just to come out, and when they talk about Texas and high school football, they think of Texas, and this is where it's at. We do everything. Everything's bigger and better here. Our stadiums are bigger, our teams are better, and we just get after it every Friday night. So, for somebody, graduated from high school, 20 plus years ago, to remember those days. They're very accurate when they say you may not remember the guy who sat next to you in the classroom, but you're definitely going to remember your teammates, and that is definitely a fact, and that's what Friday Night Lights means to me. A lot of memories, and I look forward to making a lot more here as the athletic director.
And it's not only just the football players; it's the band members, the dance members, the cheer members, everyone that makes that Friday. I was in the band in high school. I wasn't athletically talented enough to play high school football, so it's really an experience from everybody in the community as well, and that's got to be fun to see all the groups get involved.
It is. I mean, you talk about the fine arts programs that are taking off. Our bands just tore it up this past week in their competitions, and everybody's out here showcasing their talents, and like I said, the classroom and athletics, they go hand in hand, and tonight's our test. We're having a test right here. Difference is a lot of people get to see it. So if you fell on this one, you get ridiculed a lot more.
a little different on the football gridiron on Friday night. Well, he is Lee Martinez. He is the athletic director of Goose Creek CISD. Thank you so much for everything that you do for athletes, coaches, parents, the community. community. We thoroughly enjoy working with Goose Creek CISD.
Thank you for having me.
All right, we'll be back right after this. Countdown to Kickoff continues. You can hear the band and everybody getting riled up in the back. Battle of Baytown coming up at 7 o'clock tonight on Flow Sports right here. VYPE producing that. We'll be back right after this with more Countdown to Kickoff from Stalwart Stadium.
Vlog number one.
Well, first off, thank you for being here.
Jordan Battles leaps over the defender.
Crosby's second state championship appearance.
Baytown, Texas for the 51st time. How does that sound? Welcome back, everybody. Countdown to Kickoff continues live from Stalwart Stadium. Joshua Cook, VYPE Media, with you here. What a night it's going to be between Baytown Lee and Baytown Sterling. We've talked a lot about what this rivalry means, what it means to the current players. But what about the former players, the ones who have played in this before? We got to catch up with some of those guys earlier this week. One of them was Clint Sterner, who now is a radio host at Sports Radio 610 right here in Houston, Texas. Played at Baytown Lee. Went on to the University of Arkansas, played for the Dallas Cowboys as well in the NFL. And we caught up with Clint earlier today, actually, and talked about what this rivalry meant, Friday Night Lights, and just his advice to current student athletes in their programs. This is Clint Sterner, the former Baytown Lee quarterback.
What's going on, everybody? Joshua Cook, VYPE Countdown to Kickoff. Continue to roll on. We're joined by one of the Baytown Lee legends, Clint Sterner of Sports Radio 610, former Arkansas quarterback as well. Clint, man, this time of year, it's gotten cold. It's football. I mean, did you like when it started getting cold? Did it really feel like football season then?
Yeah, man. Look, I love when it starts to get a little bit chilly. I'm not a big fan of the cold now. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I'm not a big fan of the cold, but boy, this time of year right now in Texas is definitely what they would call, they define as football weather, man. There's a little bit of chill in the air. The games mean a little bit more. Mom and dad and grandma and granddad had to bring the old blanket in the stands. Yeah, this is the time of year that it gets interesting, and it just means more. That's for sure.
This is when you see like little brother and sister up in the stands, all bundled up like the kid off of.
That's right.
What's that movie? The Christmas Story. He's all bundled up there in the stands.
That's right.
For you, as we go into this game tonight, Baytown Lee, Baytown Sterling, both needing a win and some help to get into the playoffs, but Baytown Lee trying to win this game for a second straight year. When you were there, like just winning this game, I mean, what did that mean? I mean, this was the game in Baytown years ago.
Yeah, I mean, it was a special thing, definitely a special game, but a special thing in our city, in our town, and it had been around for such a long time with. When Lee and Sterling were the only two high schools, and our grandparents and our parents went to one or the other. And then all of a sudden, we're raised up going to the game. And this was before they closed off the sides, man. You could go from one side of the Stalwart Stadium to the other. And I mean, it was a true rivalry in every sense of the word. And so it was a huge deal coming up. It was really fun to play in those games. I had a lot of friends that were from the other side of the track, so to speak, that went to Sterling. Guys that I grew up playing baseball with. Guys cousins that I grew up with. They're some of my best friends to this day. So man, yeah, it was a true rivalry game. It meant more just being in that game, regardless of what the records were of the two teams. The coach didn't have to do too much pep talking, if you will, to get us ready for that particular Friday night. That's for sure.
Yeah, and I think with a potential playoff spot on the line tonight, it's not going to take much to get these guys revved up and going. For you, when you think about these high school guys and you think back to your days of high school, nowadays there's so much of this. We want to win now. It's all about me kind of thing with stats and highlights and stuff like that. And sometimes that ends up being where the kid moves to a different program, or if a coach gets on to them or something like that. Just what's your advice to young kids about sticking it out at a program and just really working hard to earn your keep kind of in your program and representing your program?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting line to walk in today's game because I do think there are situations where players are better off in a different environment. Players are better off, maybe they're a better fit somewhere else. And I do think there are those particular situations where the coach and the player and the parents have to make the right decision, right? And make the right decision for the kid, not necessarily for the team or for the coach or for the program. I do believe that those situations do happen from time to time, but I think what you're speaking of is this day and age where if a player, regardless of how talented he is, or regardless of how good the player in front of him at his position is, the answer is to look elsewhere and move elsewhere instead of work harder, work longer, play more positions, bring more to the table, and wait your turn. I do think there's a mentality now with young athletes and quite frankly young parents that it's just if I don't get my way as a freshman or as a sophomore, then I'm going to bounce. And it's unfortunate because it's not best for the kid. There's not a better situation out there for the kid a lot of the times. And it's unfortunate. And I'm just glad that I'm not a coach and I have to deal with this and try to manage this. And not just the kids. Like I said, I think the parents play a big part in why these kids want to move so quick and the kids' way of thinking. So it's unfortunate in a lot of situations. And it's like I said, I would hate to be the one to try to manage that and deal with it on a daily basis.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those situations going on. And sometimes it works best for everybody, and then sometimes it's just kind of a situation like you were talking about. Switching back to
here's the deal is if you run from competition, or if hard work scares you off, then look, I don't want you in my program anyway. I mean, ultimately that's where it's at. So if those things are what's driving a kid to want to be elsewhere, is you don't want to compete, or you don't want to work hard, or you don't want to put in the extra time, or you don't want to be held accountable by said coach, you don't want grades to matter, you don't want your off the field actions to matter in terms of the opportunities you get on the football field. If you're that kind of player, I don't care how old you are. If you're not that, I mean, if you are that kind of player, then there's no room for you in team sports, and you're going to be weeded out eventually anyway. And so if it's based on those things, then it's a major problem. But if you check all those boxes as a player, and maybe there's just another opportunity somewhere else, I do think those types of situations do occur, and sometimes it's a smart move. But I tell you, it's all about breeding players and raising up players and developing players to compete. If you don't compete, I don't care what sport you're playing, I don't care how old you are, I don't care what program you're in. If winning doesn't matter, like ultimately, if you don't have an unhealthy gene in your body of being competitive and it hurts and you want to cry when you lose, then you're going to get weeded out eventually anyway. So, I think it's a tough line for these coaches in college, and look in high school as well. It's a tough part of their job to manage these kids these days.
And for you, back to your high school coach, which I believe was Dick Olin, one of the legendary coaches in high school football. Also on the show, we talked to Brian Johnson, who played Baytown Leagues, now coach with the Philadelphia Eagles. Just for you, Dick Olin, I mean, how much of an impact did he have on your life, just in general? Because we see these guys in the NFL, they're talking the Hall of Fame. They're naming their high school coach and how impactful they were. How impactful was Dick Olin on you?
Oh, he was huge, man. Not just on the football field, but personally. I got a ton of respect for Coach Olin, the family man that he is, in the sense of raising his kids and raising his family the right way. In a sense of how he deals with people individually. I tell you, I mean, he dealt with me and my mother and my father in a way that if there wasn't an extreme amount of trust there, then I probably would have went the baseball route. And so, I think one of the best things that I did in my career and in my life was I trusted Dick Olin. And that's not always easy to do. I mean, if anybody had a reason to jump ship, right, and transfer, it would have been me. I was a pretty good player, and I was sitting behind Jermaine Alfred, who was a great player. And I saw the writing on the wall that I was never going to play quarterback at the varsity level until my senior year. I mean, to me, that is one of those where, hey, we could look at the situation and go, hey, Clint Sterner was a really good player. And he was just happened to be behind another quarterback that was a great player. And if Clint went elsewhere, he could have started for 3 years probably in high school at a different location. And I think there was a good case to be made that I could have transferred. It would have been smart for me and my parents to go somewhere else and find an opportunity. But ultimately, I sat down with Dick Olin and he explained his plan for me. And I literally blindly trusted at that point in time that he would take care of me and that he would stand up to his word, stand behind his word. And things ended up working out. And luckily, I had a high school coach that believed in standing behind his word. He believed in, being honest and being, as painful as it was sometimes, look at me and my parents and say, hey man, he's not going to start on the varsity level at quarterback until his senior year. That wasn't an easy message to tell me and my parents. And he risked a lot doing it because we could have stood up and walked out and went elsewhere. Right. But, we trusted in Coach Olin. He stood behind his word. He made it happen. And he changed my life. I mean, I would have never got a chance to take a snap in Texas Stadium for the Dallas Cowboys as a starting quarterback if it wouldn't have been for Dick Olin. I wouldn't have broke every passing record at the University of Arkansas in the SEC and won a share of an SEC title at Arkansas if it weren't for Coach Olin. I wouldn't be in the media today if it weren't for Coach Olin. I got the opportunities in the media because of people I met in the game of football and in the state of Arkansas, all of which things never would have happened if I wouldn't have trusted Dick Olin and Dick Olin wouldn't have stood by his word and took care of me and my family. And so I think trust is just something that it's rare. And when you got a head coach that you can trust, man, you got to lean into it.
Talking with Clint Sterner, you mentioned the media radio host at Sports 10 or Sports Radio 610 here in Houston every Monday through Friday, 2 to 6. Shameless plug there I know you're getting ready for your show today. For you, just final question. Friday Night Lights, I mean, like you said, you played at Texas Stadium, you took snap for the Dallas Cowboys, you played in Arkansas, but there's nothing like Friday Night Lights in Texas, right?
For me, there's nothing better. I always tell people I do a lot of speaking around the state and in the state of Arkansas, and a lot of it is sports banquet related and things like that. I get to talk to a lot of high school athletes, and I mean I'm just being as genuine and sincere as I possibly can, as honest as I possibly can. If I could go back at any point in my career, if I could go back and do something over again, it would be my senior year in high school. And have a chance, because we had a really good football team. We had a chance to make a run at a state title. I would love to do that one more time, and I'd love to do it in Baytown, Texas, where my mother and father can come to the games. My entire family can come to my grandfather and my grandmother who went to games at Stallworth Stadium for years and years before I ever got there. I would do it over again in Baytown at Robert E. Lee High School in hopes that we could win a state title. And people would be talking about it for years, man. But yeah, there's nothing like Friday Night Lights in Texas. There's nothing like Lee Sterling Week. There's nothing like playing in front of your friends and your family, representing your school, representing your family and your hometown, man. When it's gone, it's gone. There's no more. You can't do it again. And so there's nothing like it. I always tell people, and I'm being honest as I possibly can. If I had anything to do over, if I could pick one thing to do over again, it would be my senior year in Baytown. As a Gander and see if we can't make a run at a state title.
All right. Well, he is Clint Sterner, Sports Radio 610 host. And I mean, I don't even have to ask him who he's picking in the game. I know it's Gander all the way, Baytown League. So we won't even mess with that. Clint, we appreciate the time. Appreciate everything you do talking to high school kids and then just your knowledge and wisdom and stuff to them. We appreciate it, my man.
You bet, man. Thanks for having me and go Ganders.
What a great interview with Clint Sterner. Appreciate his time earlier today to be on this countdown to kickoff. Going to take another break. Coming up next, we're going to show you the highlights from last year's Battle of Baytown. It was all Baytown Lee, 48-20 over Baytown Sterling. We'll take a break and then we'll come back. After that, we'll have an interview with Brian Johnson, the Philadelphia Eagles quarterbacks coach, coming up right after this. VYPE Countdown to Kickoff rolls on from Stalwart Stadium right here on VYPE Houston Twitter.
All right, let's head out to Baytown, Texas. Special guest in the house, country music star Ray Lynn, singing the national anthem before this one tonight. She picked the Ganders, by the way, in the VYPE Countdown to Kickoff, powered by Whataburger. Big thanks to her being a guest. Let's get to the game. Christian Oligi, first quarter, makes it 7-0 with that pass to Ja'Cory Boston. Ganders would just be getting started, though. 7:55 to go. The late handoff to Trudell Berry, and he's going to turn on the Jets as he hits the edge. He's going to dive into the end zone, knock the pylon over. He's in 14-0 Ganders. The Gander and the Ranger would have a little competition on the sideline at the end of the first quarter. 7:02 to go in the second quarter. More of Baytown Lee. Ja'Kenan Davis catches the pass, hits the edge. He's into the end zone. Big time receiving touchdown for him, 17 yards out. 22-0 Ganders. And then how about Davis again? Oh, Kiki, do you love me? Yes, we do. As he's going to go into the end zone here from 38 yards out. Direct snap right up the middle. Kiki Davis over 1,000 yards rushing on the season. 28-0. Baytown Lee on top. 6:22 to go in the second quarter. The Baytown Lee Gander mascot liking that one as he pointed to the scoreboard. Ross Sterling would fire back as Jaheim Favere would get into the end zone. That make it 28-7. And then at the end of the half, time expiring. Oligi throws to the end zone. Go up and get it. Adrian Boston. He's in for the touchdown. Coaches love that. That would make it 36-7 at the half. Go to the third quarter. More of the Ganders. Oligi, end zone. Berry again. Second receiving touchdown for him on the night from 22 yards out. Makes it 42-7. Baytown Lee on top. And then, here's Kiki Davis again into the end zone. 3 touchdowns for him on the night. 2 rushing, 1 receiving. Baytown Lee, the trophy, heading back to the Ganders. They hoist it up inside Stalwart Stadium, 48-20. Baytown Lee wins this one. They improved to 7-2 on the season. They head into the playoff, where next week they'll get Katy Pato in the opening round.
Welcome back, everyone. Stalwart Stadium. I'm in Baytown, Texas. Battle of Baytown going down here tonight. Potentially a playoff spot on the line. Not only get to win the trophy, but if they win and get some help, one of these teams could be in the Texas high school football playoffs next week. Joshua Cook with you here from Stalwart Stadium. A beautiful night for this rivalry. And like I said earlier, we got to talk with some former players throughout this week, and one of those is Brian Johnson. Brian Johnson played quarterback here at Baytown Lee, went on to the University of Utah, played there, was the 2009 Sugar Bowl MVP, and then he got into coaching after that. After a few collegiate stops, including University of Houston and most recently University of Florida, he was then hired in this offseason to be the Philadelphia Eagles quarterbacks coach and get to work with none other than Channelview's own Jalen Hurts. Earlier this week, I got to catch up with Brian Johnson through the use of technology. This is our interview with the quarterbacks coach of the Philadelphia Eagles and Baytown Lee graduate, Brian Johnson. What's going on, everybody? Joshua Cook, VYPE Media. VYPE Countdown to Kickoff continues to roll on here as we get ready for Baytown Lee versus Baytown Sterling. Here's a guy that knows a little bit about that rivalry game. Brian Johnson played at Baytown Lee, now is the quarterbacks coach of the Philadelphia Eagles. Coach Johnson, I mean, this week for you, how special was this when you were in high school? Baytown Lee versus Baytown Sterling, Battle of Baytown. I mean, this was it. This was the game.
Yeah, absolutely. It was always a very spirited rivalry. There's games that you remember obviously throughout your career in high school, but the Lee Sterling game is definitely one of those memories that I'll always have with me. A lot of fun moments, getting a chance to play in it twice. I remember we played on a Saturday one year, Saturday morning or Saturday around noon, and then my senior year, it was a great crowd, great atmosphere, and we were able to play really, really well and get a huge win.
I mean, it was of all the wins. That one so many years ago now. I mean, you still remember it. I mean, you remember the moments just because of how big that rivalry game is. I mean, was that your favorite kind of game of your high school career?
Yeah, for sure. Just because everyone knows each other, and we all grew up together, and it was basically predicated on where you live. But a lot of us grew up in the same community growing up, so it was just a situation where you got a chance to play against people that you knew really, really well, and you knew it was going to be a great crowd and a great atmosphere, and it was a chance to compete on a really high stage.
And after your time at Baytown, Lee, what a quick rise for you. You go to Utah, you play there, Sugar Bowl MVP in 2009. Then you come back to coach there, and Mississippi State, U of H, Florida after that, now with the Philadelphia Eagles. Just talk about your journey from Baytown, Lee, now to the National Football League as a coach.
Yeah, well, the game of football has done so much for myself and my family. I've been able to build some outstanding relationships and meet a bunch of people along the way. One of the things I always say about this game is that, it provides such an opportunity for people to use this game to make themselves better people and obviously become a better football player. But the relationships you build along the way are ones that last a lifetime. And you can learn so much from the game of football, just in terms of things that you can carry with you in everyday life. I think about it when I was 16-year-old high school player to now being 34 with 3 kids, and some of those same lessons that you learn throughout the way, whether it's dealing with adversity, how to handle success, being a good teammate, having discipline, things of that nature, all that stuff carries over to when you're an adult. So you learn so many valuable life lessons through the game of football.
Going back to your high school days, I mean, I feel like when guys one day, they get inducted in the Hall of Fame or any speech you hear, they always talk about their high school coach and how impactful their high school coach was. Your high school coach, how impactful was he in your life and your path? I mean, how impactful was he?
Well, Dick Olin is probably one of the greatest high school coaches to ever coach in the state of Texas. And I can't say enough about how much he's meant to me as a person, not only as a football player, but as a coach, as a father. He's been a mentor of mine for a really long time and someone that I keep in constant contact with to this day. He really did a great job of helping set the foundation for me as a football player, but also just watching him operate on a daily basis as a coach. And, there's still certain drills and techniques and things that I use that he's taught me from way back in 2003. So, I can't say enough about just the type of person he is and the impact that he's had on my life.
So like I mentioned, you're a quarterback's coach of the Philadelphia Eagles, the quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles, Jalen Hurts from Channelview, Texas. What's it been like getting to work with him?
It's been great. I've known Jalen for a really long time. His dad actually coached me at Lee when I was in high school. So I've known him. It's crazy how football is a very, very small degree of separation between people. So, it's very interesting that the stars align like this, that I was able to coach him. I recruited him coming out of college. And, he's a pleasure to be around each and every day. He works extremely hard. He's extremely talented. And, he's just a great individual and human being.
And my editorial assistant has joined me now for this interview. Talking about quarterbacks in the city of Houston, we talk about it all the time, and we call it, QB Houston or Houston QB Academy here because there's so many good quarterbacks that come out of the city. What is it about Houston quarterbacks that are just so good?
Well, I think one of the things that come to mind is obviously there's a level of talent when you have a city of around 6 million people in the greater Houston area. There's going to be a ton of talent, but I think just the infrastructure, the way it's set up for guys to learn the game at an early age, the coaching that they receive at an early age, the development, I think it all plays into it to where, football is a huge deal in the city of Houston. And, there's obviously great players and great coaches all throughout the city. And I think when you have people to mold young talent at such an early age, it sets them on the right path, and it sets their foundation for them to have long-term success.
And we talked about Texas high school football and Friday Night Lights. Like, how special is Friday Night Lights?
Yeah, there's nothing like it. From showing up to the field house right after school and eating your Sonic cheeseburger before you go to the game and riding that bus ride over to Stalwart Stadium. Just the camaraderie and the time that you spend with your teammates and the relationships that you build along the way. Those are all very, very special memories that'll last a lifetime. And, like I said earlier, football just teaches you so much about life. There's so many parallels throughout the game and real life. So, I really just can't say enough about what it's like to be out there on a Friday night, and they have the paper banner you run through, and just the pageantry of high school football in Texas is something that's extremely special.
And that's coming from a guy that's in the National Football League that literally gets to run out with the Philadelphia Eagles. How special Texas high school football is. As we head into this week, I mean, I know if I asked you to pick the game, it'd be obvious who you would pick. For you, what's your advice to high school kids? Because I feel like it goes by so fast, and in a blink of an eye, you're 30 years old, you got kids, you're coaching, or you're doing this or that. Like, what's your advice to them just to savor these years and these moments?
Yeah, I would tell those guys, I think the biggest thing that I've learned throughout the course of this deal is time is a non-renewable resource. And, it's very limited. So you have to take advantage of every opportunity that you get. And, when you're a young man, at times you can think that, I'll get another chance at this, but there's not always second chances in life. So you have to really, really just be aware of your surroundings and aware of every chance you get an opportunity to do something special, that you take advantage of it, because it's not guaranteed that you'll get another opportunity. So I think that's probably the biggest piece of advice that I could lend to somebody that's playing high school ball right now.
And for you, I mean, you got into coaching, you rose through the ranks of college coaching to the NFL, and there might be someone watching this that's like, hey, you know what, I want to be an NFL coach, or I want to be a college coach. What would you have told yourself as a piece of advice as a young coach that now that you would have given yourself that piece of advice early in your coaching career?
Well, that's a great question. I think the biggest thing is make sure you cultivate relationships, just like any profession. And I think coaching carries a lot of similarities to a lot of professions, and a lot of it is really about being able to. It's a people business, so being able to adapt and be comfortable in different surroundings, being able to work well with others, and ultimately being a teacher. Like coaching is essentially teaching, and we're transferring information. So. I think one of the most important things that I've learned throughout my coaching career is that everyone learns differently, and you have to find a way to teach to the individual and teach to the room. And I think that's key is being a great teacher and understanding how you cultivate relationships and how you maintain relationships and take care of people.
All right, he is Brian Johnson. He is the quarterbacks coach of the Philadelphia Eagles, former Baytown League quarterback. I don't even have to ask him who's picking in this game. We know it's Baytown League. It's Fly Ganders. Coach Johnson, we appreciate the time, and just congratulations to you and your career and how far you've come from Baytown League to now the National Football League. We truly appreciate your time here at VYPE.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
Big thanks to Brian Johnson, quarterbacks coach of the Philadelphia Eagles. What a cool job. Go from Baytown League quarterback to being the quarterbacks coach of the Philadelphia Eagles, getting to work with Jalen Hurts. Big thanks to him for his time, as it's very busy in the National Football League every week trying to win those games. We are getting closer and closer to kickoff here at Stalwart Stadium. Both Baytown Lee and Baytown Sterling have now ran out onto the field here as they get prepared for some pregame festivities. We'll take one more break and we'll come back and we'll wrap it up. And I might just pick this game, who's going to win the Battle of Baytown. We'll be back after this on VYPE Houston Twitter as we count down to kickoff and the Battle of Baytown. Welcome back, everybody. Countdown to kickoff. We roll on from Baytown, Texas. The time has come in the show to pick who's going to take home this big trophy, bragging rights and everything. It's been an interesting season for both teams. Baytown Lee comes out of the gate super hot. They start 6-0. They've lost 3 straight. On the other side, it's been a little different story for the Sterling Rangers. This is a big rivalry night, but just off of last year, Baytown Lee still having Trudell Berry, the Marshall commit. I think Baytown Lee wins this game. I think they're going to take home this trophy for the second straight year. They're going to get the Mayor's Ball. So I'm going to go with the Baytown Lee Ganders to win the Battle of Baytown here tonight. Big thanks to everybody that made this show possible tonight. Our producer on site, Enrique, great job by him, pushing all the buttons, making us look and sound great throughout the night. Big thanks to Mayor Capetillo, the mayor of Baytown, for joining us. Lee Martinez, the AD here in Goose Creek CISD. And then our very special guest, Sports Radio 610 host Clint Sterner, and Philadelphia Eagles quarterbacks coach Brian Johnson for taking time to talk to us throughout the week as we prepared everyone for Countdown to Kickoff. That'll do it for us from the press box here at Stalwart Stadium. I'm Joshua Cook with VYPE Media. Enjoy the game, everybody. Switch over to Flow Sports as we'll have that game live for you. Baytown Lee, Baytown Sterling coming up next here at 7 o'clock. It's been VYPE Countdown to Kickoff. And, of course, at VYPE, we do high school sports, and we will see you at the game.